yet. And we've got one for each of you, so let's see. We'll start with Captain Solar. Certificate of Merit to Captain Derek Solar for services is set in the following citation. The Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard takes great pleasure in presenting the Coast Guard Certificate of Merit to the New Orleans-Baton Rouge Steamship Pilots Association River Pilot, Captain Derek Solar, for his role in the response and recovery efforts during Hurricane Isaac. Hurricane Isaac was a surprisingly strong Category 1 hurricane whose slow movement significantly impacted the port community. The considerable storm surge and high winds contributed to over 100 marine casualties and pollution incidents, caused over $5 billion in property damage, and shut down the lower Mississippi River and its connecting waterways and tributaries. There were over 120 deep draft vessels remaining in port when the storm hit, and of these vessels, more than a third experienced significant casualties within the first day of the storm. The slow-moving hurricane heavily impacted vessels at anchorage, leaving some aground and others entangled in their moorings. Captain Solar was one of the very few pilots able to reach the river through the flooding and blocked highways to address these vessel casualties, and he did so without hesitation. With gale force winds still gusting, Captain Solar drove to Grandview Anchorage to board and launch for the motor vessel Overseas-Antigmar. After his vessel had dragged anchor in the storm, the master of the Overseas-Antigmar had weighed anchor to avoid imminent collision with the Laplace water intake, but was then drifting perilously downriver. Captain Solar arrived on scene, took control of the vessel, and brought it safely to anchorage. The operation lasted well into the morning, and as he departed the ship, he noticed another vessel which had dragged anchor and was in the middle of the navigational channel. Knowing that reopening of the Mississippi River vessel traffic was a top Coast Guard priority, Captain Solar boarded the vessel to clear the channel. He demonstrated great intrepidness working in adverse conditions to ensure the safety of these vessels and their crew. Captain Solar's dedication to the safety of this port and his people are most heartily commended and in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Coast Guard. Captain, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now Captain Watney. For services is set forth in the following citation. The Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard takes great pleasure in presenting the Coast Guard Certificate of Merit to New Orleans-Baton Rouge Steamship Pilots Association River Pilot, Captain Watney, for his role in response and recovery efforts during Hurricane Isaac. The considerable storm surge and high winds from Hurricane Isaac contributed over 100 marine casualties and pollution incidents and caused over $5 billion of property damage and shut down the lower Mississippi River and its connecting waterways and tributaries. The slow-moving hurricane heavily impacted vessels at anchorage, leaving some aground and others entangled in moorings. Captain Watney was one of the very few pilots able to reach the river through the flooding and blocked highways to address these vessel casualties, and he did so without hesitation. With gale force winds still gusting, Captain Watney drove to Bonnie Carey Anchorage to board a launch for the motor vessel Medi Sentosa. The motor vessel Sentosa was aground, but before the storm surge reversed and the high water receded, there was still a chance of getting the vessel afloat under its own power. As he headed to the vessel, he noticed the motor vessel Clipper Daisy had spun on its moorings, grounded, and was now blocking the motor vessel Medi Sentosa. Working from one vessel to the next, Captain Watney refloated these vessels and brought them safely to anchorage, clearing the navigational channel. He demonstrated great intrepidness working in adverse conditions to ensure the safety of these vessels and crew. Captain Watney's dedication to the safety of the port and its people is most heartily commended in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Coast Guard. Captain, thank you so much. Gentlemen, you're free to say a few words if Captain Rooney would allow you to.
Toby, speak for the both of us. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, and I'd love to thank the Coast Guard most of all for this award. I've never received the award, and I've been on the river for 40 years, so this is very dear and true to my heart. Very much appreciated. I'd like to thank all the members of the Vessel Traffic Center who stay up through the night coordinating efforts with the pilots to get the river moving and do the wise decisions and make the right judgment calls. And they stay up and ride these storms out whenever they're here. So I thank everyone, all the pilots that help get out there as quickly as I can help them, and we work in a coordinated effort, and I appreciate it. Thank you.